Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 15th day of May 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy. Hope you had a good Mother's Day weekend to all you mothers out there. Hope you guys were safe and healthy, and you and your family were safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family, in terms of food and shelter, clothing, as well as health, is being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, even on Mother's Day, and the first responders who are out here every day saving lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks and places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children who have been sexually abused, who have been not only sexually abused, but also suffering child molestation and pedophilia. Curses on the persons that perpetrate these things. Also, the people that are out here that are the victims of child molestation, also the victims of prostitution, also the victims of pornography and child prostitution and child pornography, and the victims of sex trafficking and human slavery. Double curses again on those people who perpetrate these things, and on those that profit from them, and on the perverts that create the demand that is so great that causes other perverts to create the supply. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless in the United States of America, and they're mostly children. There are millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There was an important basketball game last night. It did not involve the New York Knicks directly, but involved them indirectly. The Celtics, the Boston Celtics, eliminated the Philadelphia 76ers from the playoffs last night, winning the seventh game in Boston decisively, 112-88. Jaylen Brown is off the table. Okay, I know some of y'all don't want to believe it. Some of y'all going to still be hanging on to that dream. Okay, go ahead. But I'm telling you, Jaylen Brown's off the table. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're playing the Miami Heat. Unlike us, like if the Knicks were playing Boston, I would favor the Knicks because the Knicks seem to have Boston's number, but not the Heat. The Celtics, I predict, are going to beat the Heat probably in 6 games. I think the Heat are gonna go as far as they can go. They have went very far. To go to the Eastern Conference Finals from the AC is ridiculous. They've been very, very good. But Boston's better. Boston's a better team. Boston got more weapons. Boston's hungry. And Boston will probably go to the finals. So Jaylen Brown, that for all of that, the reason I'm saying that is to let you all know, Jaylen Brown's going to be off the table. You're not getting Jaylen Brown. You're not trading for Jaylen Brown. You can forget Jaylen Brown. Okay? But Emmanuel Quickly is going to be on the table. Now, during this time period right now, as the NBA playoffs are underway, we're going to be doing videos on individual players whose careers are going to be affected this summer or can be affected this summer. And on the Knicks, that's a number of guys. We're also going to be doing some things on the draft. Really, there are 2 players only really in this draft that are realistic options for the Knicks. We're going to talk about them later on, as we go closer to the draft. And then, of course, there's free agency, and we'll begin to talk about those free agents that, as I mentioned a lot yesterday in my live cast, the free agents that the Knicks hopefully would be targeting, and in response to the players that we believe should be moving on or will be moving on. In Emmanuel Quickly's case, it's a player that probably will be moving on, and I'll tell you why. Emmanuel Quickly obviously was drafted by the New York Knicks. When he came into the Knicks in 2020, I want to say he came in 2020. Let me just make sure I got that right. He was drafted, 2020. He was drafted in the Knicks 2020, 25th pick overall out of Kentucky. And he started off, as you know, his career coming off the bench. In fact, he still comes off the bench. He has matured tremendously, over his 3 seasons with New York. Hard worker. He buys into the Tom Thibodeau work ethic in terms of studying film, working on his game, putting in the hours every day in the gym. That's Emmanuel Quickly. And so he's going to be 24 years old come June. And so he's ready to, and he has already expressed to Ahmad Rashad that he'd like to start. Not surprising. If I'm an NBA GM, I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickly as a starter. If I'm an NBA GM looking for a point guard, I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickly. He's young. You can plug him into a team that's already a playoff team or a team that's on the verge of being a playoff team. You could plug him in and start him. You know you can play him heavy minutes. This year, for you, I was looking up his highs this year. He's had a 40-point game this year against Houston, against Indiana. He had a 39-point game. Against Boston, he had a 38-point game. Against the Kings, he had a 36-point game. This kid could play. Okay, he could play. And in some of those cases, he was starting in place of Jaylen Brunson. So giving him an opportunity is something I would do if I were GM. Not only that, you could probably get him for some between 80 million and 90, $100 million, which for a kid like this is a very good bargain, getting a starter level NBA player like that. Because he wants to start and because there are going to be teams that see him like I do as an NBA starter. Some of y'all may not see him that way. It's irrelevant. Some team out there is going to see him as NBA starter and want him on their team. And everybody understands what the situation is. He is extension eligible this year. Okay, he's extension eligible. So they have this year and they have next year. They can wait all the way to the end of next season to extend him or give him the qualifying offer. He's not going to be happy with that. As we all know, this is the way this game works. If you play that game with him, then he's definitely going to leave. You're not going to be able to keep him by doing that. And Leon Rose doesn't operate that way. He will help his players get opportunities if they want opportunities elsewhere. And before him, Steve Mills was like that too. That's why we traded Kristaps Porzingis. More on him later. But that's why they traded him. He didn't want to be here. Okay, they let him go. So the Knicks want people that buy into the culture, that buy into what they're trying to do, and that want to be here. So Quickly buys in. Quickly's into the culture, but Quickly wants to start. And as long as Jaylen Brunson is the starting point guard for the Knicks, which he's going to be for at least the next 3 seasons, he got a 4-year deal, at least the next 3 seasons, unless he gets hurt, Jaylen Brunson's your starting point guard. You're not going to be a starter, okay? So that being the case, that Quickly wants to start, and some of y'all still have this mentality getting rid of him. That's because you are negative on your own team and you buying into the false negatives from the media. We're not getting rid of Emmanuel Quickly. We're helping him career-wise because he wants to start. Okay? I know we want to keep him for selfish reasons. I understand that. We want to keep him. Okay? And, he had a bad playoff. Some people are going to mention this playoff. That's foolishness. This is his first real foray into the playoffs. And, he didn't do as well as he did during the season. That would not stop me as an NBA GM from signing him. Let's put it that way. Bottom line, that would not stop me from signing him. If I'm Washington, if I'm Miami, if I'm Houston, if I'm the Clippers, I definitely want to sign this kid if I could get him. Okay? And there's a number of other teams I could name that would do the same thing. Okay? So that this playoffs year right here is not going to stop them from wanting to sign Emmanuel Quickly. He's going to be a hot commodity this summer. A hot commodity. So the question then is, what do you get for him? Okay, what do you get for him? He was drafted 25th. He is certainly outplayed that draft position. He has certainly outplayed that draft position. So you could get a pick higher in the first round for Emmanuel Quickly. Any team, like I said, if you look at the teams that are borderline playoff teams, guys, teams that are really like that one player away, not from a chip now, but from getting to be a playoff team. If you're looking at teams like that, and if any of them actually need a point guard, you can't do much better than Emmanuel Quickly. Okay, so I would definitely be looking at him in that draft that Emmanuel Quickly got drafted. He got drafted 25th overall. Okay, R.J. Hampton was drafted above him. He's better than R.J. Hampton. Zeke Njayi was drafted above him. He's better than Zeke Njayi. Precious Achiuwa was drafted above him, and Precious Achiuwa is good, but he's not starting either. I'll take IQ. Josh Green was drafted above him. Alex Pokuševski was drafted above him. Okay, Cole Anthony, Aaron Nesmith, Kyra Lewis, they were all drafted above him. And he's better than all of those guys. Okay? He's better than all of them. Killian Hayes. He's better than Killian Hayes. Okay. And matter of fact, now Detroit got Jaden Ivey and they have Cole, right? I wouldn't mind if I'm Detroit, I could put one of them at the small forward and I could start quickly and I can play all three of them kids. I could play them triplets. See? So there's a there's gonna be a number of teams out there that would be interested in Emmanuel quickly. I could see him playing next to Anthony Edwards. Okay? There's a number of teams that will be interested. And I don't hear nothing about trading for Cat. Stop that. He's not. Karl Anthony Towns is not coming to the Knicks. Not in the near future. Okay? So let's not get stupid. When I mention Minnesota, all of a sudden somebody gets triggered in their brain. Oh, Karl Anthony Towns. No, you're not getting him. But there's a number of teams that will be interested in Emmanuel quickly. Okay? And so what can we get? We can get first round pick for him. Definitely. Okay? I'm more interested in that. Give me a number one for Emmanuel quickly. A number one that I could add to my plethora and do something with. Okay? Maybe make other moves with. Again, Washington. He would fit perfectly in Washington. Okay? I'm not saying Morris is not a good point guard. I'm saying quickly is better. That's all I'm saying. Quickly is better. Okay? I'm not saying Monte Morris is bad. He's not a bad player at all. He's an NBA player, which means he could play ball. But Emmanuel quickly would take that spot in the heartbeat. He'd be right there next to Bradley Beal. Okay? So that's what I would do. I mean, if I'm Washington, I'm looking at him. So you're going to lose him. I'm coming to terms with it. I would be shocked if the Knicks were able to keep him. I would be shocked. And one of the reasons I feel like they know this, that the Knicks organization is prepared to lose him, is because they're hanging on to Deuce McBride. Ian Begley had reported teams were inquiring about Deuce McBride. You're getting a dude that's a defensive stopper that you're going to get for $1.8 million, not even touching your cap space, not even worrying about your cap space. But the Knicks rebuffed all offers. So they're hanging on, in my view, to Deuce because as insurance, because you're probably going to lose Emmanuel quickly. Okay, and so I'm thinking, like I said, and Quick is from the DMV, so I wouldn't be surprised if Washington was looking at him very hard. Okay, very hard, looking at him very hard. So you have that. Like I said, what I would ask for him. Because he's only $4 million. You're not even talking about a lot of money. So really, you're really talking about draft capital. I would try to attach Fournier if I could to the deal. Get Fournier out of here with that $19 million to Emmanuel quickly and still get a number one. I would still do that. Okay, especially a team with cap space. So you got to look at the teams that have the cap space. Who has the most cap space? If let me take a look at that. If you get the teams with the cap space. And let's take a look at the cap tracker here. Houston's got the most cap space, followed by Orlando, followed by San Antonio. And any of those teams would take Emmanuel quickly. Any of them. Okay? Any of those teams would take Emmanuel quickly. Utah Jazz. Now, Utah got our boy there from Alabama or Auburn, wherever he was from, starting in 18. What's his name? Colin Sexton. But Colin Sexton, to me, this year has proven that he's a better bench piece, a guy coming off the bench, than really a starter. Taylor Horton Tucker is probably going to be their starter. And he's going to be a unrestricted free agent this year. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But Utah is a possibility. Of course, you're dealing with the Ripper there. But Utah's a possibility. But Houston, yep. 64 million. They can eat the cap. And they can Orlando, yep. And Fournier played there. He can be coming home. Some of y'all want that for Carmelo Anthony. Let Fournier go home. We could do that too. So San Antonio, yep. So you got teams out there. And then those are up and coming teams. Then you got teams, as I mentioned, Detroit. Then, of course, the Clippers. The Clippers would definitely want him. I also could see him playing next to Luka in Dallas. There's a number of teams, man. Chicago, I mentioned Minnesota, not Toronto, no. New Orleans, no. Phoenix, if Devin Booker stays, maybe. Because Chris Paul's on down in. You want to keep Kevin. You want to try to win it next year. I'd put quickly next to Devin Booker. I'd do that. Washington, of course. Yep. The Celtics. Yep. Who else? Those are really Miami, the Clippers. None of them have cap space. They'd have to deal with some calories, but all of those teams would be interested in Emmanuel quickly. Okay, all of them. Some more than others, but there's a market for him, and he's going to be looking. His agent probably is already talking to teams. They're probably already discussing the possibilities. The Knicks are limited in what they can offer him because of the cap. Okay, and that's why people say, well, just give him $90 million. You can't just do that in the NBA. This is the league. You got a cap. You got to work with the cap. You don't want to be paying taxes. You don't want to be paying luxury taxes in the NBA. That's costing the owner money. And ain't nobody in New York taking no shorts. If you paying taxes, you want to be a team that's going to win a chip. Okay? You want to be in a team like the Lakers. You want to be a team like Denver or Boston or Miami that wants to win a chip that's on the verge. Then you don't mind paying the taxes. You make that money back in revenue from winning the chip. Okay? But you just can't do it. And you're paying Randall 80. You got 80 million left on his deal. You gave him 28 million. You're giving 26 million to Brunson, 24 million to RJ Barrett. And I'm not even talking about Fournier's 19 million because he's gonna be gone. We got 16 million going to Mitch Rob. You're gonna be playing probably 14, 15 million for Josh Hart. You got 9 million going to Hartenstein. Okay, so you can't just say let's give quickly all this money. You don't have it. You got to get rid of stuff. Okay, significant stuff to keep him. That's if he minds coming off the bench. That's if he doesn't mind staying on the bench and not starting. Okay? Now, maybe he changed his mind. But that's a maybe. What would you do? You can get $90 million to be a starter on the Washington Wizards. They're going to hand you the keys. Or you might get $72 million and be a backup in New York. What do? You're 24 years old. You're in your 4th season in the NBA. What are you doing? Come on, be real. You're taking that starter money and you're taking the keys. That's Emmanuel Quickly. Okay? So I predict we're going to lose him unless he decides, okay, I'll come off the bench for this team. And that's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'd be shocked if that happened. And that's no slight on the Knicks. It's no slight on the organization. Some of y'all are idiotic enough to think that. It's no slight on Emmanuel Quickly. It's business. This is business. Okay? And sometimes business works in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. Okay? The Knicks drafted very well. What that means is you got too much talent, valuable talent that wants to start, and you can't start everybody. You got a 9-man rotation. That's perfect. But Quickly won't start. Okay? Well, you got teams that will start it. So I wish him the best. I'm just saying it now. It's not official, obviously. I'm just telling you what I think. But I'm always going to root for him because he's a New York Knick. Once a Knick, always a Knick. Anyway, Jaylen Brown is off the table. Emmanuel Quickly might be on the table. Let's see what we can get. Enjoy your Monday. Shalom.